Today we have Jason Weller and Jeff Moss with Sangoma to discuss affordable, essential business communications.
Jason Weller with Sangoma and Jeff Moss as well. And we're going to kind of tag team this together. And Jeff's going to run majority of it. But we just want to thank you for your time. And we look forward to working with you guys. I have known Ed for a number of years in this industry and space. Highly respected, obviously, in the channel that he is with his leadership and everything. But we just appreciate the time to get together with you. And we want to give you a high level overview of who Sangoma is, what we can do, and what we can bring to the table for your existing clients or new potential clients down the road. Jeff, let's jump. Yeah. So as we said, uh, Jason Weller, Jeff, I'll let you go ahead, say hi real quick, and then go to the next one.
Yeah, hey team, happy Tuesday. Jeff Moss, I'm in the channel solutions consultant or channel SC here at Sangoma. I got to meet the TDM Claire's team for the first time at Channel Partners in Vegas a couple of months ago. Got to meet Chris Torbett, Ed, and the rest of the team, and I'm really excited about today because we've got a lot of good content for you. And with that, just a quick agenda. We'll do some quick introductions, which we've already done. We're going to quickly hit the company overview. For those of you not familiar with Sangoma, we just want to let you know where we're at, how we came to be today, and just a little bit of history on Sangoma. And then right after that, we're going to jump right into our products, starting with our managed network services. We'll talk a little bit about our network monitoring. Obviously, we'll talk about our UCaaS or Unified Communications and our three UCaaS deployment models. We'll talk a little bit about contact center, and then we've got a couple of case studies to help you understand better where we win, where we're a good fit, and how we can put more money in your pockets. And then at the end, we'll have a few questions, it looks like. So with that, Jason, I'm going to let you kick us off here, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. So who are we? Um, we've been around for 40 plus years in this space, which is really unheard of a lot in the telco, in the provider, and the supplier space for the channel. A lot of these, newer companies, have been, 6 years, 8 years, a decade and under. But we've been around for 40 plus years. And what's really unique with us is we're in the M&A phase. So we have had many acquisitions. I believe it's now eight over the last 11 years. And some of those names you may be familiar with, the Star to Star platform, the free PBX or the Asterisk platform, and many others, Digium, NetFortress. I can go down the line over the years. So we've really brought in a lot of different networks, a lot of different topologies to come into one full Sangoma brand, and we've now melded those all together into who we are today here in 2026. What's unique with us too is we are publicly traded, which isn't that unique, but being publicly traded on two different platforms. So the Toronto Stock Exchange is our STC's our logo there, as you see, and then on the Nasdaq it's the SANG logo. So both the Toronto and the Nasdaq platform being publicly traded is unique in the space as well. We have a very diverse customer base, so 100,000 plus customers across 180 plus countries, which then equates to supporting over almost 3 million UC seats alone, which makes us one of the largest UC providers in the entire globe. We are an engineering pedigree, so I have Jeff, that's part of that team with us here today. One of our mottos is the engineers early and often. We want to engage them as often as possible just to make sure during those discovery calls, just to make sure it's a great fit for us, but also to fully understand the scope of the project, of the opportunity that you're bringing to us. And all of our core voice solutions are developed in-house by our own engineering team. Everything is Sangoma from end to end when you deal with business with us. And then some of the highlight bullet points over on the right. 82% is recurring revenue. We are channel and channel focused only in the industry. We have over 650 employees that make us, who we are throughout the globe. Majority of Sangoma is remote. We do have an office in Toronto. We do have an office in Sarasota. We have one in Alabama, one up in Traverse City, Michigan. But other than that, everyone is remote, spread out all throughout the globe and a super low, sub 1% customer churn. So when we do win a customer, whether it's with one of our solutions or multiple solutions, that customer stays with us and grows with us from that one solution to two to three to four to our full portfolio of what makes up Sangoma. And then 10 plus years being on the Magic Quadrant with Gartner, as you're familiar of, that's a nice feather in the cap as well. And then our fiscal year end is actually coming up at the end of this month, the end of June, June 30th of 2026. So we'll have our new numbers out, first part of July. But we've seen growth after growth, quarter after quarter. But yeah, approaching that 250 plus million revenue standpoint. So puts us really up there, and we're been around for 40 years and have the revenue to stand with it. So with that, I will bounce it back to you, my friend Jeff.
Yeah, so let's get into what we do and how we do it. This is a busy slide. I know if I said to the group on the call today, Sangoma, we do a little bit of everything. I know the second I say that, your response is probably going to be, well, then you probably don't do anything if you do a little bit of everything, right? So I'm going to use one of my first couple of analogies. So based in Austin, Texas, we like our barbecue and we like our barbecue sauce. And yes, we like our cold beers too. But today we're going to put the beers on the back burner. So when it comes to Sangoma, our secret sauce or superpower, but I'm going to use that barbecue sauce analogy. There's two key ingredients in the Sangoma secret sauce. And I'm going to boil this slide down to just a couple of key areas. First off, in the middle here under Managed Network, we're a full-blown Tier 1 ISP. We own our own backbone. We control the IP experience, and we are an agnostic connectivity aggregator. What that means is we're going to use a last mile provider or that local loop to get facilities into the building. But once that circuit, regardless of what the circuit type is, DIA, DSL, mobile broadband, the list goes on and on. Once it hits our backbone, we control the IP experience. That's that first key ingredient in the Sangoma secret sauce. And if you think about it, a customer's connectivity strategy is really the foundation. It's that first thing that gets resolved, or when you build a house, what's the first thing you do? You pour the foundation. That's that first piece. Once we've been able to help customers with their connectivity strategy, whether it's wireline, wireless, we do 4G, 5G primary, 4G, 5G wireless backup. We leverage cradle points for that piece of the platform. We can also do advanced POTS replacement or POTS in a box. But once you've poured that foundation, now it's just a matter of what other services here in these other columns do you want to frame up on top of it? So kind of going back to that, how do you build a house, right? So when it comes to Sangoma, we have three key UCaaS deployment models: Prem, Hybrid, Cloud. We've got our own SIP Station product, which is a standalone SIP trunking product. So if you've got a customer that says, I've got an existing PBX, I need to squeeze just a little bit more life out of it, but I want to rip out the PRIs as an example, and I want to go pure SIP trunking, we've got a standalone SIP trunking product. Here's our philosophy when it comes to voice. And this is the first time I've been able to say this in almost 25 years of being in telecom. We can truly go meet your customer where they're at in their telephony journey, figure out where they're trying to get to, and then we'll help you and the team build a migration path that makes sense to them. So we'll talk a little bit more about those three UCaaS deployment models in a couple of minutes. But then a couple of the other things that we'll do, we've got faxing products. We manufacture our own physical desk phones. So for that customer that needs that tactile experience, we've got our P-Series phones. We also support Yealink, a couple of other brands out there. And then over here on the right-hand side, to wrap up this slide, we've got some what I would call wraparound services with Fortinet, firewall, next-gen UTM for universal threat management. And we'll talk a little bit more about those here in a couple of minutes. So when everything fits together, we can really start talking about this philosophy of cross-sell and upsell. Where we fit best is distributed enterprise, where we can go in there and truly cobble a solution together or build a solution around multiple products and services, right? If you bring us an opportunity that's just straight connectivity, we'll take those. Realistically, we may or may not be the cheapest, but we'll certainly quote it out for you. But really what makes Sangoma unique in the space is when we can do this cross-sell, upsell, and when the puzzle pieces start fitting together, That's when we've got those sticky solutions. And that's exactly what Jason was talking about on that first slide. Once we get customers on our services and our platforms, they're very sticky solutions and we have a very, very low churn rate. Security. So when it comes to security, if you're taking credit card information over the phone, we're PCI compliant. Obviously, HIPAA compliant when it comes to things like healthcare, assisted living. We can't offer end-to-end encryption, and I'm not going to read all these acronyms because we don't want to go down a technical rabbit hole. But the point of this slide is, regardless of what vertical, what space you're working in, healthcare, retail, hospitality, we've got those security certifications that your customers are going to expect. So again, I mentioned that we're a tier 1 ISP. We've got 13 or 14 POPs around the country. So we can provide internet services domestically here in the US. And again, it's our network. So when we say aggregator, I just want to clarify that one more time. There are providers out there, and I'm not going to pick on the competition, but when they say aggregator, they're just reselling third-party circuits from end to end. That's not what I mean when I say we're an aggregator. We need that last mile provider, that local loop, but then once it hits our gateways, we are the ISP where we can provide IP address space, and all those other technical things that go along with internet services. So, managed network solutions. Again, it doesn't matter. Cable broadband, DSL, 4G, 5G, LTE, wireless, fixed wireless. Regardless of what type of connectivity or circuit your customers are looking for, we can source them and we put them on Sangoma paper. So the one thing to point out, and Jason may have already mentioned this, all of the products and services that Sangoma offers are billed on Sangoma paper. So one invoice, one back to Pat, one provider controlling the entire experience. When it comes to wireless or Wi-Fi in building, enterprise, mid-market, we lead with Cisco Meraki. So again, we can help customers with their connectivity strategy in the building and outside of the building as well. And when it comes to wireless access points and failover, we lead with Cisco Meraki. And again, it can be active-active, active-passive, lots of different ways we can configure these and design them. But again, these services are also built on Sangoma paper. So when it comes to failover, we can certainly help. So when it comes to things like managed VPN, we're a Fortinet shop. Jason mentioned a couple of minutes ago that the current Sangoma today is really the combination of multiple acquisitions over the last several years. I think he mentioned 8. One of those acquisitions was a company called NetFortris. With NetFortris, we were able to bring on the complete Fortinet suite of products and services. So when it comes to things like IPsec tunnels, managing, overlaying existing internet connections, we'll lead with Fortinet, and we can certainly help you design some complementary services to one of those key ingredients in that secret sauce, which is the connectivity itself. VeloCloud. So, 20, 25 years ago, I spent a lot of time at Sprint helping customers get off of frame relay services, migrating over to MPLS. Then over the course of years, the price of MPLS continued to increase, and as bandwidth and broadband services became more stable and readily available here in the US, customers started ripping out MPLS and putting in just a couple of big fat pipes to the internet, or a couple of different ISPs for ISP diversity. Then they started talking about things like SD-WAN. So we lead with VeloCloud. What's important about our VeloCloud offering is we manage our own orchestrator. So again, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds technically, but if you go sell VeloCloud through other providers, it's a sell with model. They're going to bring the VeloCloud account team on the phone. They're going to mute the phone and let VeloCloud take over. And those providers that have that go-to-market strategy really don't have any control over the VeloCloud experience at all as far as deployment, day 2 support. So when I say we have our own orchestrator, we manage the experience. We help design it, we can help deploy it, and then day 2 support, we're able to help support it as well. So that's a key differentiator. Another slide on VeloCloud, not VeloCloud, I'm sorry, Fortinet. Again, we lead with Fortinet for managed security as well. So for those UTM solutions, we can certainly leverage Fortinet for those. And again, those services are built on Sangoma paper as well. So let's talk UC just for a minute. So I mentioned our 3 different deployment models: cloud, hybrid, and prem. Cloud is cloud. We'll compete with the Dialpad, Ring Central, 8x8, Nextiva, Net2Phone, the list goes on and on. So we can certainly lead with cloud first. But then I mentioned a couple of verticals a couple of minutes ago. Healthcare, assisted living. If you're in healthcare or assisted living, where we are really strong in that vertical, because in that space, they may say, you know what? I trust the cloud for my voice, but what happens if I lose all access to the internet? I need some type of on-site local survivability. So that's where the hybrid model comes in, and we'll put what's called a Starbox, which is an on-site local appliance that can provide extension to extension dialing, things like 911 for emergencies, connectivity, or the ability to call extension to extension inside the 4 walls if they happen to lose access to the internet. And that's important because if I'm a patient in one of these facilities, I need to be able to call the nurse station. I need to be able to call down to the front desk. If I've got people coming to visit me, they need to be able to call up and let me know that I've got a visitor. Maybe Jason's coming to see me, who knows? Friends and family. So that's that hybrid model. And then on the far right column, on-prem. That's right, you heard me, on-prem. We still have a lot of customers out there, and I'm sure you do too, that say, I don't trust the cloud. I don't want some hybrid model that has cloud in it. I want a good old-fashioned PBX and appliance that I can purchase, configure, implement, and manage day 2. So we lead with our on-prem solution, which is called Switchbox. So that was one of those acquisitions that Jason mentioned as well. So again, when I say we'll go meet the customer where they're at in their telephony journey, this slide tells it all. Prem, hybrid, cloud, doesn't matter. Let's go figure out what they're trying to solve for, and let's design a solution around Sangoma where we can meet them where they're at and help them get to where they're trying to get to. So Sangoma Team Hub. This is our single pane of glass for all things collaboration, chat, talk, meet, SMS. The list goes on and on. This is that app that can be downloaded to desktop if you're a PC user, if you're a Mac user. We have a single mobile app as well. iPhone, Android, doesn't matter. What I want your customers and your end users to experience is a similar experience across all devices. And this is that single pane of glass or that single app that allows them to do that. So we all know work is something you do. It's not a place you go to. So there's days where I'll need to jump in the car and go run several meetings, or I travel quite a bit for my job. Here at Sangoma, there are days when my primary device is my iPhone in the mobile Team Hub app, and it's just like I'm being in the office. So Jason always knows where I'm at, and I'm always available to him. So we've talked to UC. Let's talk about some of those add-on or ancillary services that we can leverage as well. So Sangoma CX. So Jason mentioned Star2Star a couple of minutes ago. Our Sangoma CX platform is built on that Star2Star infrastructure, if you will. What's important about this slide is we are not reselling. I'm not white labeling a Five9 or an iSync Contact or some of those other solutions that are out there. This is truly a contact center solution that we've built from the ground up, tailored for SMB, mid-market. The tagline here is when I'm talking to customers and they say, you know, what's the benefit or what's the value prop that Sangoma brings with our CX solution? Here's my answer to that question. We're going to give the customer 80% of what they're actually going to use at about a fourth the cost, maybe 90%. And what I mean by that is some customers, when it comes to contact center, they'll go buy that fully loaded Cadillac with all the bells and whistles. They're going to pay 120, 150 bucks a seat. But the reality is they're never going to fully implement all of those bells and whistles, all of those capabilities. So we're going to give them about 80 or 90% of what they need. Multi-channel, chat, email, SMS, chatbot, messaging, the list goes on. And we're going to give them about 80 or 90% of what they'll actually use at a lot less cost. Our rack rate on a fully loaded contact center seat, 50, 60 bucks a seat, and that's rack rate, and I'm sure we can get it discounted based on the opportunity. And then we've got some AI stuff as well that I'll talk about in another slide. Jason, I'm looking at the clock. I'm going to wrap it up here in about the next 2 minutes. So CPaaS, Communication Platform as a Service. What we've done is instead of saying we have open APIs, right, these technical pieces of code that you can give your customer and they can go in the wood shop and build something and maybe put something together with some code. We've taken almost an opposite approach, and we've taken our CPaaS capabilities and productized them. And that's what this slide is showing. So whether it's appointment suite, curbside, phone monitoring, urgent notify, we've prepackaged some productivity apps that just complement all the other services that we've been talking about over the last 15 or 20 minutes. So when you bring it all together, ooh, I love a good picture, Jason. This is what solutions look like, right? Lots of different products. We're solving multiple use cases. Again, if we've said it once, we've said it a couple of times today, we like distributed enterprise. The more locations, the better. The more pain points, the more business uses, business outcomes that we can help drive. That's truly what sets Sangoma apart. And again, it's all on Sangoma paper, so it's one invoice. Network monitoring, just real quickly here, we've got a tool called NetOps. If you want to see a demo of it, reach out to Jason afterwards and we can schedule a demo of it. But all products and services purchased through Sangoma, we load into NetOps at no cost. This is our attempt at maintaining full transparency and visibility. So regardless of what product or service you purchase through Sangoma, you log into the NetOps portal and you can see the health of your network. Proactively open up tickets, get updates, things like that. So I'm going to wrap by just spending about a minute or two talking about AI. So we had some recent announcements. Internally, we're working on some things that we're building. A couple of those efforts on my roadmap. One of them is called Routing Receptionist. The other one is Conversational Assistant. So think of things like agentic voice IVRs, where instead of pressing 1 for sales, 2 for support, 3 for billing, I can now start talking into and getting routed to the right department. And that's what Routing Receptionist is. And then Conversational Assistant just takes that experience one step further. And we all know that AI is a buzzword. We're certainly leaning into it. These are a couple of things that we're working on from a grassroots effort, if you will. We're building these from the ground up, and we're leveraging solutions or platforms like ChatGPT. So we've got a relationship with OpenAI. But then when it comes to contact center, that slide a couple of minutes ago, we've also got this effort called best of breed. So when it comes to contact center, and I've worked on some of these solutions, we're leveraging third-party AI companies like Poly AI, Yellow AI, Balto, where for a contact center solution, we're taking it a step further. So that's where that best of breed comes into. Quick example of that, if you've ever called into a Gordon Ramsay restaurant or Hell's Kitchen to make a reservation, and you're talking to that voice at the front end of it, it's Poly AI with Sangoma CX underneath it, and we've built solutions around that. So that's a little bit about AI. A couple of screenshots, we can skip those. You're all going to get a copy of this deck later. But just real quickly, a couple of case studies. This one was in healthcare. The message on this one and the next one, you're going to see a couple of things. It's distributed enterprise. It was lots of locations. This one was servicing roughly 200,000 people across 45 sites. The problem was exactly what most customers are dealing with today, right? Disparate systems, unreliable, things got costly. They lost track of circuits at locations that frankly were no longer even in service. Maybe they'd closed a location but forgot to cancel the circuit, but they're still paying a monthly bill for it. So on this one with Sangoma, we came in and helped them with that connectivity strategy. I think on this case, we were able to up the bandwidth, provide a better experience. We loaded all of these circuits into that NetOps solution, and it was just a great experience. So on this one, it was land and expand. We helped them with the connectivity strategy. Now the partner or agent, trusted advisor can come back after the fact and position all the other things that Jason and I have been talking about on today's call. And then this last one, same story. This was retail, 20-site restaurant location. They had restaurant pizza stores across Arizona and Colorado. They were family owned going back to the mid-90s. And again, it was the same story. Patchwork of services. Their current UCaaS provider was going end of life on their particular platform, fragmented vendors, unreliable network, the list goes on and on. So we came in and standardized the solution across all their stores. It was one stack to manage. It was all built on Sangoma paper. We were able to modernize it, and the end result was a better experience for the employees, a better experience for the customers, and there was some significant savings around the whole thing with one vendor and one bill. Jason, I've said a lot. I'm going to pause, mute the phone, and
we
turn
have
back over to you, sir.
Appreciate it. 4 questions in the chat. We answered the last two, talking about somebody asked what innovations is Sangoma investing in over the next 12 to 24 months. A lot of it's going to be AI driven. I mean, AI is a buzzword. It's been around for decades. You look at like certain transcription, voicemail to email, things like that. That's all done behind the scenes and has been done with AI behind it. It's just like the VoIP terminology of, 2 decades ago. And we did share two. The other question was, can you share a recent customer success story? That was two, the pizza chain in Arizona and Colorado, and then the healthcare company. I'm gonna take the third question and I'll bounce the fourth one to you, Jeff. The third one was, what opportunities are advisors missing today? It's a great question. What I have set up and given Chris and Ed in our conversations the last month or so since channel partners is really a laser focused, or we called it a sniper approach. Have it honed in on a target. We mentioned healthcare. That is one of our biggest verticals, and I really see an opportunity that's being missed by advisors across all organizations, specifically with assisted living. Jeff mentioned it. I think I mentioned it too. Assisted living is a great opportunity because you look at all those resident rooms that they have and think of it like a glorified hospitality type vertical. We can really bring in an approach and a solution with those existing Cat 3 cabling, those twisted pairs that go to every room, and upgrade the technology in there. So that is something that I really have leaned in with Chris and Jeff on. Hey, let's go after the assisted living vertical, and it's a great opportunity to bring to the table. Jeff, I'll bounce this one to you. Um, Back on the CX comment and slides. The question is, what differentiates Sangoma's contact center offering from competitors like Five9, NICE, Genesys, and TalkDesk? One of them you did answer is price. We're not that, $130, $150 a price point for that license, but I'll let you take the another couple of seconds here for that.
Yeah, from a technical perspective, um, frankly, when it comes to their AI roadmap, they are a little further down the road than we are, and that's why we've adopted this best of breed model. But from a technical perspective, it kind of goes back to what I said. We'll be able to give that customer about 80% of what they're actually going to use at about a fourth the cost. As far as verticals and size of opportunities, 20 seats up to about 200 seats were a really good fit. Jason, I think if we looked through our Salesforce funnel, that's probably what we would see. It's those 100-seat, 120-seat opportunities. That's really where we help win because it's a quicker deal cycle. Some of those other solutions, it's a 12-month, 18-month sales cycle, right? It just seems like the opportunities drag on and drag on. And I've worked for some of those providers, by the way. But when it comes to Sangoma, we can go in there, quickly solve a solution, provide immediate value, and again, we can do it at a lot less cost.